Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to welcome you to the Technion Honorary Doctorate ceremony for 2018. My name is Alon Wolf, and I am a professor of mechanical engineering, directing the biorobotics and biomechanics lab. I'm honored to be your masters of ceremony this evening. The Technion is pleased to confer its honorary degrees upon distinguished individuals whose contribution to society and to science have been truly exemplary. Tonight, we recognize 8 such outstanding individuals. Please rise to receive the academic procession. Members of the Board of Governors, fellow members of Technion management, faculty, students, and alumni, distinguished recipients of the Honorary Doctorate and their guests, we are also very honored to have here tonight Her Excellency, Madame Hélène Gall, French Ambassador in Israel. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2018 Technion Honorary Doctorate ceremony. And now I would like to invite Professor Peretz Lavi, President of the Technion, to offer his greetings.
Thank you, Alon. Globalization, a combination of the words globalization and localization, is a term which first appeared in the Harvard Business Review in the late 1980s. It took a decade for gradual changes to occur in society and for technology to evolve until the full meaning was realized and the term glocal became widespread. In 1997, sociologist Ronald Robertson stated that glocalization meant the co-presence of both the universal and the particular tendencies. Today, dear friends, we are here to celebrate what a glocal leader the Technion has become, shining its lights and spreading its messages of futuristic science and technology for the betterment of the world, both across Israel and around the globe. Our special guests here with us today to receive their honorary doctorates, together with their colleagues from yesterday's honorary fellows ceremony, hailing from Israel, the United States, Canada, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Japan, with the entire Technion family of friends from near and far, and our recently established campuses at the American JTCI and Chinese GTIIT, proudly demonstrate how very local Technion's reputation and offerings are for so many people worldwide. The globalization of higher education is a long-standing and widespread phenomenon with many diverse manifestations. For many decades, the cross-pollination of local knowledge from one place to another has been facilitated by researchers traveling and sharing at conferences, conducting fellowships and postdocs at centers of disciplinary excellence far from home, establishing binational and multinational studies and centers. And in the digital age, with lecturers and colleagues from around the world, just a click of a button away, the opportunities for sharing, learning, and impacting globally have grown and diversified to previously unimaginable scale. Let's look at two specific examples of such opportunities. One is the breakthrough discoveries made at any university, which can now be made accessible and improve the lives of millions around the world within a very short time. The other is the massive online open courses known as the MOOCs, which are already being attended by millions around the world, disseminating academic knowledge and making it accessible to the population like never before. And where is the Technion while all this excitement is taking place? Right at the center of activity, trailblazing the way. Across a wide variety of fields and very often interdisciplinary collaboration between multiple Technion faculties, the discoveries of Technion faculty members are touching the lives of millions around the world. I will share with you just a few of numerous examples. Just think of our new approach to the production of hydrogen from water using solar energy, an innovative technology expected to significantly reduce the cost of producing hydrogen and shipping it to customers. In truly multidisciplinary fashion, the study was led by Aviva Landman, a doctoral student in the Grand Technion Energy program, under the guidance of Professor Rothschild from the Faculty of Material Science and Professor Material Science and Engineering, and Professor Gideon Greder, the Dean of the Faculty of Chemical Engineering. Another striking example of recent Technion breakthroughs, which will impact globally, is the work of Professor Roy Kishoni at the Department of Biology, who has developed a new way to view and track bacterial populations evolving a high level of antibiotic resistance. The video of his evolving bacteria has been featured in the United Nations and has been viewed over 25 million times, making it likely the most viewed science video ever. And how many have already been aided by the technology of Mazor robotics, originating out of the medical robotics lab at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering of Professor Moshe Shoham, the mentor of our MC, Professor Alon Wolf. Mazor Robotics develops robotic systems for back and brain surgery that are currently operating with direct accuracy in over 120 hospitals. Friends, if we were to list Technion originating life-changing discoveries, we'd all be here straight through till next year's Board of Governors, at least. And how do you know who else do it? Our esteemed guests tonight. Our honorary doctorates share the spirit of globalization, as each of them makes their unique contribution and creates their individual impact, extending beyond their own communities to spread goodness in the world. Professor Steve Forrest of the United States, Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science of the University of Michigan, a top-notch scientist who has enhanced scientific knowledge in numerous fields, starting from major inventions in detector technologies up to his major breakthroughs in organic optoelectronics. But listen to that. In the mid-1930s, Steve Forrest's father, Jerry Feigenbaum, escaped Berlin to Switzerland and from there to Palestine, where he joined the Palmach. In 1939, he joined his father in the United States. During World War II, Jerry volunteered to a special intelligence unit in the US Army known as the Ritchie Boys. Jerry, who won the Purple Heart decoration for his service, came to Israel as a volunteer during the 1967 and 1973 wars. Steve, through you, we also salute your father, Jerry, of blessed memory. Professor Alexander Mullen, the director of the Max Planck Institute for Polymer Research in Germany, who is a worldwide authority in all length scale of academic research, translational, and commercialization aspects of polymer forming reactions. His research has furnished breakthroughs in fields of pronounced societal importance, such as energy technologies, sensing of explosives, and the use of delivery vehicles for gene therapy. Professor Michael Aizenman from the United States, a paramount figure in the contemporary rigorous mathematical physics. His contributions shaped many of the most important developments in the field over the past 4 decades and provide inspiration and insights to related fields such as probability theory, real analysis, combinatorics, and computer science. Michael was one of the paratroopers who freed Jerusalem in 1967. Dr. Jean-Yves Lagarde from France, a world leader in the space and research communities. Dr. Lagarde is not only a leader of French, European, and international space organizations, but also a vocal promoter of Earth environmental conservation through space studies. Dr. Robert Shillman, Dr. Bob, as we know him. He is the founder, chairman, and chief culture officer of Cognos Corporation, a provider of machine vision systems, sensors, and industrial ID readers used in automated manufacturing. Dr. Bob believes in work hard, play hard, move fast. And there is no one other than Dr. Bob who can do it better than that. Professor Andrew Goldberg and Mrs. Aviva Goldberg from Toronto, Canada. A truly Technion couple. Andrew, a professor emeritus from the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering at the University of Toronto, is a robotics engineer, and Aviva is an architect. They met here at the Technion 51 years ago and have been great supporters and promoters of the Technion ever since. Baroness Ariana de Rothschild from Switzerland, a major leader in the Edmond de Rothschild group, devotes a considerable amount of time to philanthropy through a historical network of family foundations in Switzerland, France, Spain, Israel, United States, India, and South Africa. In Israel, Baroness de Rothschild leads the Edmond de Rothschild Foundation's activity to create an inclusive and collaborative Israeli society to promote excellence, diversity, and leadership through higher education. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of the United Kingdom is one of a kind professor of Judaic and Jewish thought, law, ethics, and Bible, who has published over 30 award-winning books and has been awarded 17 honorary doctorates. Rabbi Sachs, this is the high honorary doctorate. Rabbi Sachs has been knighted by the Queen for services to community and interfaith relations and awarded life peerage as Baron Sachs of Aldgate. Now you can understand, dear guests, why I said before that our esteemed honorary doctorates share the spirit of globalization, as each one of them make their unique contribution and create their individual impact, extending beyond their own communities to spread goodness in the world. But they also share one more thing, for which we are so grateful: a love for Israel and a love for the Technion. Thank you, dear honorees, and thank you, dear guests, for each and every one of your unique contributions to the Technion, to the State of Israel, and to humanity, locally and globally. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Professor Lavie. I now invite Mr. Lawrence Jakir, Chairman of our Board of Governors, to deliver his greetings.
Thank you, Alon. My President, Peretz Lavie, Rabbi Lord Sachs, your fellow Honorary Doctorate recipients, members of the Board of Governors, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, all members of the Technion family. It is usual for me to give 3 formal speeches at every Board of Governors meeting, but I cannot recall any occasion when, as I have set out to write those 3 speeches, events in Israel have been so changeable, tense, and difficult. It has been an amazing roller coaster these past several weeks. As I started to write the speech for the opening plenary given yesterday morning, the situation with Iran following President Trump's withdrawal of the USA from the deal they had was headline news. Israel was protecting its citizens on the northern borders and taking action to ensure that Iranian rockets did not rain down on its towns and its cities. When it came to writing the speech for the festive opening of the board delivered yesterday evening, the situation on the border with Gaza was intensifying. Although there was some good news, Israel had won the Eurovision Song Contest. I am not your toy. Yes, one for Israel for a change. And then I sat down to write the speech for tonight. The USA was being opened in Jerusalem, the USA Embassy, and the situation on the Gaza border was worsening, and Hamas had called for an intifada, and fire kites were flying over the border and burning Israeli fields, and the Israeli Air Force destroyed an underwater tunnel from Gaza to Israel. And Hamas even started nesting up north with Hezbollah in Lebanon. There was every possibility that everything I would write would have to be changed in some way to respond to the ever-changing situation. And then along came the announcement of Intel's multi-billion-dollar investment in its Kiryat Gat facility. Something much more well-connected to why we are gathered here tonight. We live in very interesting times, and in Israel, volatile ones too. But there is one thing that is never changeable, and that is the dynamic and spirited enterprise of Israel and its people. Against all odds, it is vibrant, economically sound and stable, intellectually capable, safe in the hands of the unbelievable IDF, and one of the happiest nations in the world. Israel defies all the expectations of a country that is surrounded by less than friendly neighbors. Israel is constantly under such pressure, and yet, as well as protecting and sustaining itself, it gives to the world beyond what might be considered its ability to do so, because Israel desires to do so. Israel has innovated the world for 70 years, and as the logo of this year's Board of Governors suggests, the Technion has innovated Israel for those same 70 years. It is always difficult to follow on from our President Peretz Levi when he has given a speech. There is always the risk that he has just said what you wish to say, and then you're stuck. But have no fear, dear friends, I'm not stuck. I have a lot to say about this great institution, the Technion, that we all support, and the reason why we are all here this evening. And as you know, part of my job as chairman of the board is to be the Technion head cheerleader. I never cease to be amazed at the wonders of the Technion. And even if our president has said it already, it merits repeating. The Technion is a powerhouse of activity at the cutting edge of technological, scientific, and medical research and development. Underpinning this intellectual academic arena are the people who make it all happen. And each and every one of them contribute to the Technion to make the Technion unending. We know that like any powerful institution anywhere in the world, the Technion has its day-to-day issues and problems. But what makes it so unique is that these issues and problems never overwhelm us because they are regarded as challenges for which solutions are sought and achieved. There does not seem to be any limit to the vision and mission that everyone at the Technion adopts. We have seen ideas form into medicine that cures, equipment and machinery that produces and protects, systems that communicate, logarithms that predict, theories that undo previous thoughts, and ventures into new fields that lead to hundreds of inter-university collaborations. The Technion is now a big player, making use of all of its parts in a synergy of talent, ability, and initiative. It has graduated to the forefront of the world stage, with campuses spreading from one side of the world to the other. It is in such wonderful things that we must all take pride, all of us here tonight, and respond in no uncertain terms to those who would do us harm, whether it be through their words or their deeds. Our message to the world is, come and see and learn with us. Tonight we honor those upon whom we are to confer the title Honorary Doctor of the Technion. They come from the world of business, community and religious service, academic and philanthropic endeavors. Each and every one of them is a supporter of the Technion, recognizing Technion's capacity to the demands placed upon it. There are a group of people who are true leaders whose support is unquestionable. There is a midrashic saying, pursue honor and it will flee from you. Our honorees this evening have not pursued honor. Quite the opposite. They gain our honor because they have gone that extra distance in their particular areas of service and expertise. Each one of you is truly deserving of the title Honorary Doctor. In Hebrew, Doctor L'Shem Kavod, Doctor for the sake of honor. There can be no greater title than that. And I want to pause for a minute. The parasha of this week is Meraglim, the spies. And in the story, we know that Moses sends 12 spies into the promised land. 2 come back, and they're the famous ones, Joshua and Caleb, loaded with grapes and other wonderful things from the land of milk and honey. And 10 others come back with a very different negative report. I want to focus for a second on those 10 others. What they really were doing was talking about themselves. They lacked self-esteem. They lacked courage. They lacked optimism. They talked about the land being occupied by giants and that they were grasshoppers. And so what happened? They wandered in the desert and died in the desert and never entered the promised land. But I am absolutely convinced that our honorary doctorate recipients tonight all have wonderful elements of self-esteem, great amounts of courage, and also great amounts of optimism. And I am sure every one of you would have entered the promised land. You have our deepest congratulations. As Israel progresses through its 71st year and beyond, there is no better way to end than to look to the future. The Technion has always done so, and it is because of that that it has been so successful. It has gained friends like those we honor this evening, who earn our respect and our gratitude. It has achieved accolades in its relatively short history beyond those imaginable. And it has given to the world substantially in excess of its size, and through doing so has gained so much more. May the Technion continue to innovate Israel, and may Israel continue to innovate the world. Let us look to the future in hope. Let us pray for a day when peace will reign supreme, and imagine then what can be achieved. The seeds that the Technion sow become the roots of success for the state of Israel. May the Technion always sow them, and may they grow into immeasurable reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jakir. To begin the conferment of the honorary doctorate degrees, I call upon Mr. Guidon Frank, Chairman of the Council, to read the formal proclamation of the honorary doctorate recipients.
הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל. הקורטוריון של הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל, בתוקף סמכותיו המוענקות לו על ידי חוקת המוסד, ובהתאם להחלטת הוועד המנהל ביום ח' בטבת, שנת 5778, שהוא היום ה-26 בחודש דצמבר 2017, ועל דעת הסנאט, מעניק בזאת לפרופסור מייקל אייזנמן, פרופסור סטיבן פורסט, פרופסור אנדרו ואביבה גולדברג, דוקטור ז'אן-יב לגל, פרופסור קלאוס מולן, הברונית אריאן דה רוטשילד, הרב לורד יונתן זקס, ולדוקטור רוברט שילמן, את התואר דוקטור לשם כבוד. ניתן בחיפה, בכ"ח בסיוון שנת 5778, שהוא היום ה-11 בחודש יוני, שנת 2018, בשנת ה-71 למדינת ישראל. על החתום, פרופסור פרץ לוי, נשיא הטכניון, לורנס ג'קיר, יושב ראש הקורטוריון, גדעון פרנק, יושב ראש הוועד המנהל. Technion-Israel Institute of Technology. The Board of Governors of the Technion-Israel Institute of Technology, by virtue of the authority granted to it by the Constitution of the Institute, in accordance with the decision made by the Council on the 8th day of Tevet, 5778, the 26th day of December, 2017, and with the approval of the Senate, hereby confers upon Professor Michael Eizenman, Professor Stephen Forrest, Professor Andrew and Aviva Goldenberg, Dr. Jean-Yves Legal, Professor Klaus Mullen, Baroness Ariana de Rothschild, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, and Dr. Robert Shillman, the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa, given in Haifa on the 28th day of Sivan, 5778, the 11th day of June, 2018, in the 71st year of the independence of the State of Israel. Signed by Professor Peretz Lavi, President, Lawrence Jakir, Chairman of the Board, Gideon Frank, Chairman of the Council.
Thank you very much. Let us begin with the conferment of the Honorary Doctorate. I am pleased to start with Professor Michael Aizenman.
Professor Michael Eizenman is a paramount figure in the fields of mathematical physics, statistical mechanics, functional analysis, and probability theory. His seminal contributions have shaped many of the most important developments in mathematical physics over the last 40 years. He received his BSc in Physics and Mathematics at Hebrew University and a PhD in Physics at Yeshiva University in New York. He went on to teaching positions at Princeton University, Rutgers University, and the Courant Institute before returning to Princeton as a full professor in mathematics and physics in 1990. For over 10 years, Professor Eisenman was editor-in-chief of the leading journal Communications in Mathematical Physics and has served on the editorial boards of other publications. He is a popular guest lecturer and has held concurrent visiting professorships at a number of universities worldwide. Never losing his deep connection to Israel and Israeli research, he has been a frequent visitor to Technion, where he chaired a Faculty of Physics review committee. Professor Eizenman has been awarded numerous prizes, including the Danny Heinemann Prize for Mathematical Physics, the Norbert Weiner Award, the Brouwer Medal, and the Guido Stampacchia Prize, and is a member of the National Academy of Sciences and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences.
What I find amazing is that there is no area of mathematics which does not relate to physics. Since early stages in my career, I've been interested in pursuing dual track of physics and mathematics, and I try to think simultaneously from both perspectives. These are to some extent different languages and different perspectives, but if you manage to write the two, you get to see much further. I arrived in Israel in 1957, accompanied by my brother and father. My mother has died 2 years earlier in Poland. On the boat, I recall we were swept into celebrations of Israel's 9th birthday. After a year in a kibbutz, I was called to Jerusalem, where our family got reunited and also expanded. There is one relation which I need to mention on this occasion. Way back, I shared many hours of studying and discussing physics with Gideon Kain. At the time, both of us studying towards the master's degree. Being much impressed with each other, we jokingly made a pact that whoever lands a big honor would mention those salad days. Gidi started on a promising path, but his life was cut short in the Yom Kippur War of 1973, in which we both participated, though on different fronts. I would like to keep my word and salute his memory. Technion is the prime institute of technical research and education in Israel, and among the few world-leading institutions of its kind. Thus, receiving the honorary degree from the Technion is an especially meaningful embrace and a deep honor for me. Thank you.
I call upon Professor Michael Eizenman to please rise. In acknowledgement of your contribution to mathematical physics, particularly to the development of powerful geometric and analytical methods for analyzing quantum statistical systems, and in recognition of your scientific leadership. And now I invite Professor Eizenman to approach the podium, and Professor Lavie and Professor Schwartz, please present the scroll. Thank you very much.
As a professor, inventor, and successful entrepreneur, Stephen Forrest has made pioneering breakthroughs in the fields of organic optoelectronics, lighting, optical communications, and solar cells. He heads the Optoelectronic Components and Materials Laboratory at the University of Michigan and is a professor in the Electrical Engineering, Physics, and Materials Science and Engineering departments. Professor Forrest is an esteemed Technion friend and colleague. He is a distinguished visiting professor in the Viterbi Faculty of Electrical Engineering and serves as head of the Academic Committee of the Board of Governors. After earning his MSc and PhD degrees in physics at the University of Michigan, he taught at the University of Southern California and Princeton. In 2006, he returned to the University of Michigan as Vice President of Research. He is the recipient of many prestigious awards and honors and has authored approximately 580 papers and holds 307 patents. He is the co-founder or founding participant in 5 high-tech companies and serves on the board of directors of Applied Materials. He has been named by Thomson Reuters in the top 1% of cited researchers in both physics and materials science.
Right now I'm working on some really exciting stuff. We're working still on the many challenges facing the display industry, the OLED display industry, and the lighting industry. And the other thing that I'm finding very, very exciting, we want to make ubiquitous solar energy available through solar cells made with organic thin film compounds. This is very important for preserving our precious environment. I got involved in working with international universities when I first started as Vice President for Research here at the University of Michigan. And I was talking to our president, Mary Sue Coleman, and she told me I needed to go to Israel to find out how they did it there, how entrepreneurialism, why was it so successful in Israel, and what can we learn from them so we could bring that to Michigan. So I went on a 10-day trip to Israel. I visited all of the major universities. I was very interested in the Technion simply because it's almost the core of Israeli entrepreneurialism in Israel. And it's a huge engine of new technologies. And since that time, with the Technion, there's been a very strong relationship with the University of Michigan. I'm extremely happy to have gotten this award. It's really a profound honor for many reasons. My family history has a connection to the country, and my parents would be extremely proud, I'm sure. But the quality of the institution, how it has changed Israeli life in so many ways, actually all of our lives, because of the entrepreneurialism that's inherent in the community. These things make Technion special among all the universities on the planet. When I was at Princeton, I hired a young faculty, Moti Segev, and he became a very good friend, but then he decided he'd go back to Israel. My long relationship with Technion just makes me feel part of the family.
I call upon Professor Stephen Forrest to please rise. In acknowledgement of your groundbreaking advances in organic optoelectronics, displays, lighting, optical communications, and solar cells, in recognition of your scientific leadership, and in gratitude for your steadfast support of the Technion and State of Israel. Professor Forrest, please approach the podium. Professor Lavie, Professor Schwartz, please present the scroll. Thank you very much.
Technion Guardians Professor Andrew and Aviva Goldenberg are a Technion alumni power couple who have made significant contributions in the fields of architecture, electrical, and computer engineering. Andrew received his BSc and MSc degrees from Technion's Viterbi Faculty of Electrical Engineering before going on to the University of Toronto for his PhD in the field. Aviva graduated with a BA from Technion's Faculty of Architecture and Town Planning. As an outstanding academic at the University of Toronto, Andrew was a professor in the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering while holding an appointment in the Institute of Biomaterials and Biomedical Engineering. A pioneer in applying robotic solutions for everyday life, he is the founder of the field of robotics at the university. Among his many awards and fellowships, he is a Life Fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, IEEE, and a recipient of IEEE Canada MacNaughton Gold Medal. Both Andrew and Aviva are outstanding entrepreneurs. Aviva founded her own architectural firm, and Andrew founded Engineering Services Incorporated, and a custom robotic systems company that went public in 2016. They are devoted and passionate supporters of Israel and Technion. In 2017, they established a new architectural pavilion in Technion's Faculty of Architecture.
I got into robotics by being effectively at the right place at the right time. The time when robotics was just emerging. And my interest and curiosity in this domain only grew, leading into entrepreneurship, setting up a company and evolving into another, and so on. So effectively at this point in time, I've been in robotics for almost 40 years. The Technion provided an unbelievable environment during my undergrad studies and my master's. It was something that inspired, something that I cherished, and something that I emulated later in my career as an academic. What makes the Honorary Doctorate so special is the fact that it establishes a record of association with the Technion. We were extremely fortunate to be able to start at the Technion and go through life professionally and otherwise and be able to come back and provide financial support to the institution. I love the Technion because it provides me an emotional tie. It provides me a personal tie. And last but not least, it is in Israel.
I love the Technion because it provided me with an opportunity to succeed. The way the program in architecture prepared the graduates at the time was quite elaborate to make it possible to be employed easily in different aspects of the profession. And for me it worked. It worked out very well. It worked out to the extent that I could find myself easily employed in a foreign country. I gave the gift to the Faculty of Architecture because I was very impressed with what I saw in their curriculum. I think their work is absolutely fantastic. And I think that there is room in Israel for alumni to look back and say thank you and provide something for the future of the institution.
It so happened that there were two students at the Technion, amongst the many. She, in a different location than I, but we ended up taking the same bus going home to Tel Aviv from Haifa. And that was the beginning. We started talking, and that happened in December 2017. We celebrated 50 years since we had that encounter in the bus. And I think that this is something to cherish and unique.
And there's the benefit of public transportation.
Yes.
I call upon Professor Andrew and Aviva Goldenberg to please rise. In recognition of your significant contribution to electrical and computer engineering and in the field of architecture, in tribute to your applications of robotics to solutions of real-world problems, and for your efforts to promote women in science and technology, and in gratitude for your profound dedication to the Technion, academia, and the State of Israel. I would like to ask you both, Andrew and Aviva, to approach, please. Professor Lavie, Professor Schwartz, please present the scroll. Thank you both very much.
For Dr. Jean-Yves Le Gall, where space is concerned, the sky is most definitely not the limit. For the past 2 decades, Dr. Le Gall has served in leadership roles in the French, European, and international space organizations, both in industry and public and government agencies. He was educated in France at the École Supérieure d'Optique and the University of Paris-Sud, and is an engineer and scientist. Since 2013, he has served as president of the Centre National d'Études Spatiales, CNES, the French space agency. As president of CNES, he has worked dynamically to further enhance the French collaboration with Israel in space. Together with colleagues at CNES, a Technion team is now studying methods to measure greenhouse gas concentrations from space, using an innovative method developed at Technion. Dr. Le Gall has won numerous global awards for his achievements. Among them are the Astronautics Prize from the French Association of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Asia-Pacific Satellite Communications Council. He holds the rank of Commander of the National Order of Merit and is an officer in the French Legion of Honor.
I was 10 years old when mankind first set foot on the moon. Like probably many children at that time, space fueled my dreams, and that's why later on, in my student years, I decided to apply for internships at space research institutes. After close of now 40 years working in the space sector, it has brought me a sense of fulfillment that I could never even have dreamed of. France and Israel have forged long-standing and successful ties over the years in space, and it allowed us to have a strong cooperation which gave birth to Venus. Venus is a small satellite that we launched almost 1 year ago, and which is devoted to the observation of vegetation to tackle climate change. On Venus, we have for the first time an electric thruster developed by Israel, by the teams of Technion, who, in a few words, invented this concept. I have an excellent relationship with Technion France, and the Technion is superbly represented in France by Technion France and, of course, by Muriel Toiti. I am very proud to become part of the Technion family. It is a great honor for me to receive this mark of recognition from such a prestigious university.
I call upon Dr. Jean-Yves Le Gall to please rise. In acknowledgement of your contribution to the promotion of space research in France, Europe, and around the world, and in recognition of your support in strengthening the ties between the academic and industrial space communities in France and in Israel, would you please approach the podium And now I ask Professor Attia and our President, Professor Lavie, to present the scroll. Thank you.
Born in Germany, Professor Klaus Mullen is one of the most eminent and ingenious chemists in the world. He received his PhD in chemistry at the University of Basel and his postdoctorate at ETH Zurich. His research spans the fields of polymer and material science, nanoscience, and physical organic chemistry. Professor Mullen's pioneering work in polymer chemistry is legendary, and in 1995 he designed the first nanographenes, a milestone that led to the development of many modern energy technologies. Professor Mullen's prolific research has led to breakthroughs in differing fields, including energy, sensing of explosives, and the use of delivery vehicles for gene therapy. He was a professor at the University of Cologne, the University of Mainz, and from 1989 to 2016, director of the Max Planck Institute. Professor Mullen has published approximately 2,000 articles, and his research papers have been cited more than 100,000 times. He is well known as a dedicated teacher, educator, and outstanding communicator who has been honored worldwide and is a frequent and popular guest lecturer. Professor Mullen's support of Israeli researchers is renowned. At Technion, he has had successful interaction with Professors Nir Tessler, Gitti Frey, and Yoav Eichin, and has collaborated with Professor Hossam Haik on providing tailored materials for his sensing technologies.
Why did I go to chemistry? We live in a world of compounds and materials. To quote from a true expert, Eiji Kobayashi, head of research of Panasonic, those who control materials control technology. In other words, there will be no new technology without new materials. We have really a strong relation to graphene. It's a challenge for chemistry to make it by several approaches, and then I saw it be applied in a field effect transistor. However, not like it is normally made, but it is made in a targeted synthesis to combine properties such as mobility of charges and an opened electronic band gap. And this is, I felt, was an aha moment. The Technion is a stronghold of micro and nanoelectronics, and this includes the use of organic semiconductors, organic light-emitting materials. And this is a most fascinating field because it combines science and engineering, it combines synthesis and device fabrication, it combines fundamental physics and theory. For example, the interaction with Hossam Haik to use electronic properties even for biomedicinal diagnosis. I have had the good luck to have found not only partners but also friends in Israel. Receiving an honorary doctorate degree, it's a tremendous honor. I am very pleased about it.
I call upon Professor Klaus Mullen to please rise. In recognition of your significant contribution to the field of polymer forming reaction and to the chemistry and physics of small molecules, graphene, dendrimers, and biosynthetic hybrids, in appreciation of your wise and deliberative leadership and in acknowledgement of your personal and professional accomplishments, I would like to invite you to please approach the podium. Professor Lavie and Professor Attia, please present the scroll. Thank you very much.
A devoted philanthropist and experienced in the field of commerce, Baroness Ariana de Rothschild leads the Edmund de Rothschild Foundation's activity in Israel and serves as the Philanthropic Committee's chair. She graduated in Paris with a Bachelor of Commerce and completed a Master in Business Administration at Pace University in New York. Baroness de Rothschild pursues an innovative and strategic approach to international philanthropy. She is intensely dedicated to promoting excellence, diversity, and leadership through higher education. In Israel, the Foundation works to create a more inclusive and collaborative society, fostering intercultural dialogue, especially between the Jewish and Muslim communities. The Foundation generously supports the prestigious Rothschild Scholars Program for Excellence. Every year, 20 new Technion honor students are accepted to the program and benefit from a special interdisciplinary personalized curriculum designed to spark their sense of curiosity and creativity, enabling them to devote themselves completely to their studies. In 2014, Baroness de Rothschild established the Ariana de Rothschild Women Doctoral Program at Technion that awards scholarships for students to promote equal opportunities in academia and society in Israel.
We wanted these ladies to focus on their research. This program was tailored in such a way that they are themselves engaged in society and they all give back. They truly become not only exceptional talent for Israel, but that they become true role models for Israeli society. The other point is really to try and look for gaps in society, typically in Israel, in education, in which I feel we might have a greater contribution by being more innovative and impactful. Our family has very close ties to Israel for more than 130 years, and it began with my husband's great-grandfather, the so-called Hanadiv. My father-in-law was highly committed as well and created this joint partnership between our foundation and the State of Israel. It was a way to renew his vows and his engagement to the State of Israel. I'm extremely honored, and all the more that my father-in-law in '62, when he wrote the bylaws of the foundation, he specifically had mentioned Technion as one of the leading universities for education. So it's not only vis-à-vis Technion, it's vis-à-vis my family as well. I have the feeling I did the full loop.
In recognition of your exceptional commitment to international philanthropic causes, in gratitude for your profound dedication to the advancements of higher education in Israel, in admiration of your leadership of the Rothschild Caesarea Foundation, and for your generous support of the Technion and the State of Israel. Please approach the podium. Professor Lavi, Professor Attia, please present the scroll. Thank you very much again.
An international religious leader, philosopher, award-winning author, and highly respected moral voice, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks is an intellectual giant who uses his remarkable communication skills to promote a more ethical and moral world. Knighted by Her Majesty the Queen in 2005, and made a life peer, He took his seat in the House of Lords in October 2009. He is a former chief rabbi in the UK and has held a number of professorships at academic institutions, presently at New York University. Rabbi Sacks is a frequent and sought-after contributor to radio, television, and the press globally, and uses this podium to support the nation of Israel, the continuity of the Jewish people, and to counter extremism and fundamentalism. He has been awarded innumerable prizes, including the Canterbury Medal, the Bradley Prize, and the 2016 Templeton Prize in recognition of his exceptional contributions to affirming life's spiritual dimension. Rabbi Sacks is the author of over 30 books. His most recent work, Not in God's Name, Confronting Religious Violence, was awarded a 2015 National Jewish Book Award. Past works include The Great Partnership, God, Science, and the Search for Meaning.
I wrote a book on the connection between science and religion because so many people think they're in conflict. So the title of the book expresses my view. We called it The Great Partnership. I see science and religion as a little like the left and right hemispheres of the human brain. And the way I sum it up is very simple. Science takes things apart to see how they work. Religion puts things together to see what they mean. The State of Israel and I share a birthday, so it's Israel's 70th, it's been my 70th, and it's thrilling because Israel shows how you can be 70 years old, or in the case of the Jewish people, almost 4,000 years old, and stay young. And part of the reason it stays young is the Technion itself. Technion is a living example of tikkun olam, of mending a fractured world. And it does so by being at the very heart of Israel's high-tech economy, startup nation. Israel obeys this great command that Moses gave at the end of his life, uvocharta v'chaim, choose life. And every single technological development Israel has developed, whether it's in medical technology, nanotechnology, agricultural technology, information technology, has always been life-enhancing. Technion is the first institute of science and technology to award me an honorary doctorate, and not surprising because I'm pretty useless at both, although, of course, God gave us grandchildren to understand how to operate the technology. But really, Technion is Israel at its best, using technology to enhance life.
I call upon Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks to please rise. In recognition of your lifetime contribution to maintaining Jewish traditional faith and enriching Jewish identity, in admiration of your position as an international religious leader and respected moral voice in the world, and in gratitude for your profound dedication to the State of Israel and the Jewish people. Please approach the podium, and I invite Professor Givoli and Professor Peretz-Lavi to present the scroll. Thank you very much.
Dr. Robert Shillman, or Dr. Bob, is an exceptional philanthropist, an accomplished academic, and an exemplary entrepreneur. He has received international recognition for his unique work hard, play hard management style. Dr. Bob holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Northeastern University, a master's and a PhD from MIT, and held faculty positions at both. In 1981, he left academia to found Cognex, short for Cognition Experts, investing his life savings of less than $100,000 in the venture. Today, publicly traded Cognex is valued at nearly $10 billion and is the world's leading provider of vision systems, software, sensors, and industrial barcode readers for manufacturing automation. A Technion Guardian and member of the Board of Governors, his generous support includes the Robert J. Shillman Career Advancement Chair, the Shillman Fund for Image Processing Research, and the Robert J. Shillman Distinguished Research Chair in Physics, currently held by Professor Moti Segev. Dr. Bob's philanthropy extends to some 50 other humanitarian and educational organizations. His honors include being named Inc. magazine's Entrepreneur of the Year, the Automated Imaging Association's Achievement Award in Leadership, and the North American SEMI Award for contributions to the semiconductor industry.
My company, we have a saying, work hard, play hard. You do the hard work, and then you relax, you play. And my company operates on that philosophy. We have many events, and I felt that this would be helpful to the Technion too. So I thought of ways of increasing the sense of joy and fun at the Technion. So I kicked off a program called the Dr. Bob Technobrain Competition. Every year it's a different technical challenge. People who sign up for it, they're all engineers or scientists, and then they have a task that they have to accomplish. It might be taking a glass of wine across a pool measuring 20 feet without spilling the wine, or dropping an egg, coming up with some mechanism, lower it somehow fastest without breaking the egg. These are complex issues, and every year each team, and there might be 10, 20 teams, come up with different, very unique ways of figuring out how to solve the problem. There's only one winner, of course, but this is engineering creativity in a fun way. In 1968-69, I had actually spent time in Haifa at the Technion. As a graduate student, I just graduated college, and I was working in the physics lab. It was a much smaller university then. And I had a great experience during that summer when I was contacted by Peretz Levi, the president, current president of the Technion, and informed that the Board of Governors has decided to grant me an honorary doctorate from the Technion. I was stunned. Of course, it's a wonderful thing when people recognize and show their appreciation.
In tribute to your professional accomplishments, inspired leadership, and innovations as the founder and leader of an international technology company, in recognition of your decades-long commitment to the betterment of the Technion, Israel, and the world at large, and in admiration for the vision and creativity that marks these commitments and your support. Please approach the podium, Professor Levi and Professor Givoli. Please present the scroll. Maybe a personal note. For the last 10 years, I've been involved as a board member of inventing the competition of the Technobrain every year. And you should know that every measurement that we do is in Bob length, we call it. So Bob measurements. Thank you very much. It's really inspiring for our students. Thank you all very much. I would like to invite Rabbi Lord and now Honorary Doctorate Jonathan Sachs to respond on behalf of the laureates.
Professor Levi, fellow honorees, beloved friends, on behalf of the honorees this evening, I want to say thank you to this extraordinary institution for this great and unforgettable honor. And thank you for making the ceremony so painless and so smooth. Not all of my moments like this have been so smooth. Let me explain. In 2005, Her Majesty the Queen was kind enough to award me a knighthood. This would normally not present any problems unless you have actually seen what the ceremony involves. You have to kneel before the Queen, and she lays a sword on your shoulder. And you know that we don't kneel before anyone short of the Almighty himself. Well, I brought this as a diplomatic problem to Buckingham Palace, and bless them, their creativity found a solution. They made a rail for me to hold on to as I was presented to the Queen, which I could lean on at 30 degrees to the perpendicular without actually kneeling. The Queen then bestowed the honor on me, and at the end turned to Prince Philip and said the famous words, "Why is this night different from all other nights?" But I have to say what an enormous honor it is simply to sit in the same room as the remarkable people you have honored tonight: Professor Michael Aizenman, Professor Stephen Forrest, Professor Klaus Mullen, Professor Andrew and Aviva Goldberg, Dr. Jean-Yves, Gall, Baroness Ariana Rothschild, and Robert Shillman. Outstanding, each one of them a giant in the field, and I thank each one of them for all they have given our generation. And what an honor it is to receive such a doctorate from this institution. Few institutions in the world have contributed so much to shaping an entire country, an entire culture, an entire economy, and to have bestowed on Israel and humanity this string of creative achievements in science and technology. In the 106 years, I think, of your existence, the Technion has helped make Israel one of the most dynamic economies of the world. Its graduates represent 70% of the founders and CEOs of Israel's high-tech companies. It is in itself, it has helped Israel in itself become one of the high-tech giants in the world. It has the highest concentration of startups anywhere outside Silicon Valley, and it has pioneered in almost everything. I don't understand half of this. Regenerative medicine, stem cell research, tissue engineering, aerospace, computer science, quantum engineering, nanotechnology, biotechnology, superconductivity, IT, all the things I said on the film, my grandchildren explained to me very patiently. Our little 6-year-old grandson says, "Saba, don't worry, I'll make it easy for you." You developed this wonderful technique of file compression, which allowed you to have an algorithm so that you can sort of compress files. One day, you will do the same for rabbis, an algorithm for sermon compression, which would be a major contribution to human happiness. And you keep doing these wonderful things. You pioneered the treatment of Parkinson's disease, the game changer of Iron Dome. You have on your faculty 3 Nobel Prize winners. You have partnerships with universities across the world, from the United States to China, and you are a leader in entrepreneurship, taking technology from the laboratory to the market and from there into people's lives. And I really salute your achievement. I also, as a rabbi, feel I have to point out that high tech sometimes has huge spiritual implications. My favorite one, I don't know if it was invented here, but it was certainly invented in Israel, is a thing called Waze. You know Waze? Or you may know it under slight Google Maps. Waze has contributed to more shalom bayit than anything in all of human history. Do you know how many marriages fell apart? Because he said to her, why didn't you look up the directions? And she said to him, why didn't you stop and ask the way? And Waze has solved all those marital disputes. It's the most spiritual thing anyway. Anyway, you asked me to say just a few words about the religious setting of your work, about the relationship between religion and science. And the truth is, as I said on the video, that I tried to write a book to show that we need both. That science takes things apart to see how they work. Religion puts these things together to see what they mean. These are different mental exercises. They use different bits of the brain. Science shows us the intricate beauty of the world that is, and the prophets gave us visions of how the world might be and should be. And that is really the marriage, the great partnership that seems to me to become ever more necessary in the 21st century. Because as our scientific and technological powers grow, so we need to deepen the dialogue between science and the great religious and ethical traditions. What does Judaism tell us about the responsibilities of science and technology in the 21st century? Let me sum it up doing my own personal bit of file compression algorithm here. But I would say very simply, Judaism teaches us 5 principles. Number 1, that science and technology and everything that Technion stands for is the fulfillment of the mandate of Genesis chapter 1, Umilu et haaretz vekivshuha. God's command that we should fill the earth and conquer it, to liberate ourselves from the tragedies of hunger and poverty and disease and homelessness and violence and war, move from a world in which lives are governed by fate to a world in which lives are governed by choice. And that is the first mandate, to become, in that beautiful phrase of the sages, Shutafim lakadosh baruch hu b'maaseh bereshit, God's partners in the work of creation. Number 2 is the mandate of Genesis 2, when God placed human beings in the garden, l'ovda u'l'shamra, to serve and conserve it. We are the guardians of the earth's natural resources for the sake of future generations. Number 3, perhaps the most powerful statement in all of history of the essential dignity of the human person, regardless of color, culture, class, or creed. Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmenu kidmutenu, that every single human being is in the image and likeness of God. And this becomes ever more important in an age of artificial intelligence and possibly super intelligence, where people like the late Stephen Hawking warned that we may be planning and executing our own obsolescence as a species. And Elon Musk, and most recently at the young age of 95, Henry Kissinger himself has just issued such a warning. I love the story of the American Jewish mother who said, when I became a mother, I found I could relate to God better. Now I know what it's like to create something you can't control. So we have to always remember human dignity and let us not create something we can't control. Number 4, Genesis chapter 9. The third time the Torah talks about our being in the image of God. Shofech dam ha'adam ba'adam damo yishafech ki b'tzelem Elokim asa et ha'adam. Human life is sacred. It is not just me who is in God's image, it is you who are in God's image. The other, our antagonists, the people who are not like us. And that has to be our moral constraint on what Thomas Hobbes called our perpetual and restless desire for power after power that ceaseth only in death. We must not create a world in which my freedom is bought at the cost of yours, or that my dignity is bought at the cost of yours. And finally, in Genesis 4, when Cain commits the first murder in human history, and then asks, Hashome achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? To which the answer is yes. We are all our brothers and sisters' keepers. There is beyond the individual covenant that links us as Jews with God, the global covenant of human solidarity made between God and Noah that binds all of us in a sacred bond of collective responsibility. Those principles are important because with every new power that comes into the world, we know it can be used for evil as well as good, to harm as well as to heal. And the powers that we will develop in the next 20 years will be, as the Americans say, awesome. I love that word, sorry, it's not an English word, but awesome in both the positive and negative sense. The danger from cyber attacks, from the misuse of personal data to disrupt democratic practice, the possibility of autonomous weapons, the mass unemployment that artificial intelligence may bring, our ongoing concerns about climate change, and the ever-growing inequalities within societies and between nations. We need to guard ourselves against what Friedrich Hayek called the fatal conceit, the belief that we know what we are doing. When we believe that, we forget the law of unintended consequences, which lead to the saddest words in any language. It seemed like a good idea at the time. This requires us to have ethics, to have conscience, and to have humility. In the end, as I say, the overarching imperative that Moses left us with at the very end of his life was, see, I have set before you et hachaim ve'et hamavet, life and death, habracha v'haklala, the blessing and the curse, uvacharta v'chaim, therefore choose life, leman tichyeh ata v'zarecha, so that you and your children may live. That is what you have consistently done in the Technion. That is what those you have honored tonight have sought to do. We thank you, we bless you. We pray that all you do may protect and enhance and sanctifies life, and may all of you be such that through you God's blessings flow into the world. Many thanks.
Thank you very, very much for these inspiring words, and I would like to remind you all that about tomorrow's event, where the Rabbi and Professor Chikanover will hold a dialogue on science and religion. I again wish to express our deepest appreciation to all the honorees and to all of the Technion friends that have come from all over the world to demonstrate their solidarity with the Technion and Israel. Will the audience please rise for Hatikva?
Oh
This marks the end of the formal part of our evening.